She waited until I finished renovating her apartment completely out of pocket before dumping me. I smiled back, then legally removed everything I paid for, including the toilet, the sink, and the flooring. Months later, she realized some people just don't let themselves be used. Maya always had this way of making everything feel like my responsibility and her accomplishment. At first, I thought it was just confidence. Later, I realized it was entitlement wrapped in lip gloss and Instagram filters. We'd been dating a little over a year, not living together, but close enough that I kept spare clothes at her place and she kept half her skincare at mine. It was that cozy, semi-serious phase where you feel like things are heading somewhere. Maybe not marriage, but at least long-term. Her apartment, though? It was rough. Small, outdated, peeling laminate floors, cabinets that looked older than her parents', a bathroom sink that leaned like it was drunk. She hated it, and honestly, so did I. Every time something creaked or cracked or leaked, she'd sigh dramatically and go, "Ugh, I can't live like this forever. It's ruining my peace." One night she said, casually but clearly rehearsed, "You're really good with home stuff. Maybe you could help me renovate? I mean, it would be our space eventually, right?" I should have noticed how fast she said our. But I was dumb and in love. She showed me Pinterest boards, mood boards, color palettes. I want something modern but warm. I want matte black fixtures. I want the flooring to feel cozy but expensive. There was a lot of I want. Not much we. But again, I thought I was investing in our future. So I said yes. And once that yes slipped out of my mouth, she treated it like a legally binding contract. Suddenly, she was sending me links to appliances that cost more than my car payments, texting me pictures of tiles at 3 a.m., complaining that contractors were too slow, even though I was the one paying them. She didn't offer a dollar, not even for paint. Her contributions were picking aesthetic vibes and getting annoyed when something didn't match her mental vision. I paid for everything, not because she asked. Oh no, she was too smart for that. But because she said things like, "I wish I could contribute, but my job barely covers my bills right now. We'll balance it out later when I get promoted. You know I'd do the same for you." Spoiler, she wouldn't. Still, I pushed through. The renovation took almost 6 weeks, and every day she praised the design on her Instagram like she was the mastermind behind it. Home makeover journey sparkles. So grateful the universe sent me someone who can create my dream space. Not pay for, not help with, create. But I let it slide. I was tired, broke, but happy that it was turning out beautiful. And the day we finished, the very day the last fixture was installed, I genuinely felt proud. Minutes before I left her place that night, I told her, "It looks like a completely new home." She smiled and hugged me like I'd given her a kidney. And I swear, for those few seconds, I thought we were solid. I thought we were building something together. I had no idea she was already planning to burn the whole thing down. The dump didn't come gradually. No warning signs, no awkward distance, no weirdness. Nothing. Just a text at 11:14 a.m. the next morning. "Can you come by tonight? We need to talk." My stomach dropped a little, not because I suspected a breakup, but because those words never lead to good things. Still, I went. When I arrived, Maya was dressed like she was heading to brunch. Full glam, cute outfit, freshly done nails. And she had that expression people make when they're about to say something selfish, but think a soft voice will make it less cruel. She sat on her newly remodeled couch that I paid for and says, "So, I think we should end things." Just like that. Not a tremor in her voice. Not a hint of sadness. I blinked. My heart didn't even react at first. It was too busy trying to catch up with my brain. "Where is this coming from?" I asked. She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "You're a great guy. Seriously. But I need someone who's more aligned with my lifestyle. Someone who can provide long-term stability. You're hardworking, but not quite at the level I need." The level she needs. That phrase hit harder than the breakup itself. Like I was some underqualified intern she was cutting loose. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just asked. "And the renovation?" She smirked. Actually smirked. "Well, that was your choice. You offered. And honestly, I guess it worked out. The place looks great now." Then, with a little shrug, "Thanks for the value boost." It was the smile afterward that did it. A slow, deliberate little curve of her lips, like she had just checkmated a chess piece she never valued in the first place. Something cold settled in my chest. I nodded once, stood up, put my phone in my pocket. "You're right," I said calmly. I did choose all this. She didn't know those words had a second meaning. While she poured herself a victory glass of wine, I walked out the door with an expression she didn't bother reading. But she should have, because the truth was simple. I didn't just pay for the renovation. I owned every piece of it. Literally. The flooring? Bought in my name. The appliances? Still under my warranties. The fixtures? Receipts and serial numbers tied to my accounts. And the contract I hired the workers under? Stated clearly. They were installing my materials, not transferring ownership. She thought she played me. She had no idea she had built her castle on land I never gave her permission to claim. And that night, as she toasted her freedom in the apartment I transformed for her, I was already on my laptop, compiling receipts, contracts, and photos. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't angry. I was focused. And the next morning, before she even woke up, I made 2 phone calls. A lawyer, the contractor crew. By the time she finished her brunch, I had something better than revenge. I had a legal right, and I was about to exercise it, piece by piece, down to the last screw. Update to here's what people always get wrong about revenge. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet, methodical, and backed by paperwork. I didn't do anything illegal. Not even close. Everything I removed was documented, paid for by me, and legally mine. My lawyer made that extremely clear. So at 7:30 a.m. the next day, the contractor crew showed up, same guys who had installed everything. I greeted them with coffee, handed them the paperwork, and said, "We're uninstalling every item I supplied, floors included." They didn't blink. They just shrugged and got to work. By noon, the apartment looked like a crime scene. Baseboards piled in corners, tiles stacked like bricks, vanity removed, sink disconnected, lighting fixtures wrapped in protective foam, the toilet sitting in the hallway like it was waiting for a taxi. Even the flooring, the one she bragged about most, was lifted plank by plank, like unwinding a ribbon. I wasn't petty. I was precise. Each piece was labeled, photographed, and packed into a rental truck. Everything I paid for was restored to me in perfect condition. I didn't touch her belongings, didn't damage anything, didn't remove anything that wasn't legally mine. And the best part? Building management had approved it. They were tired of her attitude long before I was. By 1 p.m., the apartment looked exactly like it did before. Outdated, ugly, dingy, like a time capsule of poor decisions and cheap rent. I was sweeping dust off the doorway when I heard the elevator ding. Maya stepped out, sunglasses on, iced latte in hand, phone tucked between shoulder and cheek. Yeah, girl, he was so mad. Honestly, let him be. I'm better off. She froze mid-step. Her mouth fell open. Her latte slipped. It hit the floor and exploded like a beige grenade. The contractor closest to the bathroom looked up, nodded politely, and went right back to unscrewing something. "WH, what the hell are you doing?" she screamed. I leaned against the doorframe, calm as a monk, reclaiming my property. You can't. This is illegal." "I checked," I said, holding up my phone. "It's not. Everything removed was purchased, installed, and owned by me. Here's the documentation if you'd like to read it." She didn't take the phone. She just kept staring around her like someone had stolen her soul. Then she said the line I will cherish forever. "You took the toilet?" I nodded. It was expensive. She made a noise I can only describe as a dying goat stepping on a Lego. "This is vandalism." "Nope. No damage. Everything is reversible, which is more than I can say for what you did." She blinked, confused. "What I did? You used me," I said simply. "And you were proud of it." Her face changed, not remorse, but fear. Not fear of losing me, but fear of losing her comfort. "What am I supposed to do?" she cried. I shrugged. "Call a plumber, I guess." She burst into tears. But that wasn't my problem anymore. Security showed up, not because of me, but because she began screaming about suing the building, the contractors, me, and society. They calmly informed her that everything done was legally approved. And then the kicker: her lease renewal was coming up in 3 weeks, and the building had decided not to renew it. She didn't even know. Watching her process that in real time was like watching someone solve a Rubik's Cube with oven mitts on. She tried begging. She tried guilt-tripping. She tried yelling. None of it worked. When she finally realized the contractors weren't putting back a single screw, she slumped against the wall and whispered, "You ruined my life." I shook my head. You did that when you valued your apartment more than the person renovating it. Then I left, quietly, with a truck full of everything she took for granted. Final update: it's been about 6 months since the day she came back, expecting to walk into her upgraded apartment and find everything I'd paid for waiting as if nothing had happened. She stopped calling after the first week. No texts, no emails, no frantic, "Why did you do this?" messages. I even left the keys on the counter of the empty apartment for her, neatly bundled with the signed receipts, showing exactly what I had removed and reclaimed. Her social media posts were filled with vague complaints about unlucky rentals and bad luck with contractors, but anyone who knew the timeline could read between the lines. The story had gotten around, quietly, yes, but thoroughly. I didn't gloat. There was no satisfaction in watching someone realize they couldn't manipulate me anymore. The satisfaction came from peace, from knowing I had stood firm, protected what was mine, and done it without spite, just procedure. Since then, I've moved into my own place. Small, quiet, mine entirely. I finally feel the kind of freedom you only get when you're no longer bending over backward for someone who doesn't value you. I even started small renovation projects of my own: painting, installing shelves, adding little touches that make the space mine. No pressure, no deadlines, no manipulation. I've also started dating again, cautiously. Someone who appreciates effort, who doesn't take it for granted. Someone whose gratitude isn't contingent on them planning their exit the moment I finish helping them. The apartment, once a battlefield of manipulation, is now just a memory. The receipts, removed fixtures, and signed paperwork are tucked away in a file labeled "Lessons Learned." Not anger, not revenge, just documentation. Proof that boundaries work when you uphold them calmly and firmly. She eventually realized she couldn't bully her way back into my life. By the time she reached out again, months later, I simply didn't answer. I didn't need to. The story had ended the moment she tried to take advantage of me. And that, I've learned, is true victory. Not humiliation or retaliation. Not revenge or social media posts. Just clarity, calm, and knowing that when someone tries to treat you as disposable, you have the power to make sure they don't get what they want, without ever losing yourself in the process.